The first time I visited the Wenham Museum was when I was just a little girl. Every summer we would get to come to Wenham Museum, and I fell in love with dollhouses and miniatures here.
We moved to the Hamilton-Wenham area about 35 years ago. Betty Stone approached me. She's a past president, and asked me if I'd be interested in being on the board. Ever since then, I've been involved with the museum.
The Wenham Museum is integral to childhood on the North Shore. This institution has touched generations of families. It teaches children to love museum going. About a week after I started, I went out with some volunteers, and on the way home I noticed that the roads were really flooded. The next morning I got a call that the lower level of the museum had flooded.
The water was 3 or 4 feet high all along the basement. It was a catastrophic event, to say the least.
This room, which was referred to as the Play and Learn Gallery at the time, was completely destroyed. So everybody rolled up their sleeves and got to work, and we sent this letter to the community telling them of our plight.
People really stood up and contributed a lot of money so that the museum could rehabilitate itself.
And then 2 angels walked in the door, and that's Ken and Jean Jones. I would see Ken and Jean come to the museum, and I knew that they were both important to the community. I was so honored when they said they wanted to help, and they just supported what we wanted to do very generously. They had a very good relationship with our education director at the time, Carolyn Nenart, and our education assistant, Mary McDonald. Carolyn and Mary worked to develop a plan for what this new space would look like. It really had to foster the museum's mission of education and bring in history.
I think the real focus is on the children of this community.
This is their domain. They can lead the interaction here. This is really some place for all generations to see their own lives reflected, and I think it's a very important thing for us to look at that and learn from it and remember it and then bring it to future generations.